Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live session with me, Nathan Hawthorne. It's nice to have you all here. Hopefully, you can hear me better this time, better than last time. If you can hear me clearer than last time, can you please just let me know in the comments? Because last time, even though you guys said you could hear me fine, there was a little bit of choppiness that I'd like to avoid this time. So, am I nice and clear? Hopefully so. In fact, I think I've already checked. You can hear me clearly? Clearer than last time? Not faint or anything? Good, good. One more question for you guys before we fully get into things. Good. Well, one more thing. Am I drawing with my right hand or my left hand on your screen? Am I drawing with my right hand or my left hand? You're right, it's not mirrored. Thank you very, very much. Because that was a problem last time. Afterwards, I had people asking me if I was left-handed or not. I was like, no. Last time I checked, I was drawing my left hand with my right hand, but it's just the settings that I had to put. All right. So this time, don't really have any aim for this live stream other than really just to relax with you guys after such a hectic sort of week and a half. Everything that's been going on in the world has been a bit much, and for a time I actually had to sort of shut down on social media and just like stay off it. So I thought, let's just get together and just do some drawing. So hopefully, if you're not busy at the moment, you can just grab a pen or pencil, grab some paper, scrapbook, and draw along. So I'm going to probably be focusing mostly on characters and people because that's what I enjoy drawing the most. I enjoy drawing, just designing characters and people. I don't know, what do you guys like drawing the most if you do draw? Or even if you don't, because everyone likes doodling in the side of their notepads and stuff like that. What do you enjoy drawing? Characters. What type? Realistic? Unrealistic? Cartoony? Fantasy? Cubes? What do you mean by cubes? Fantasy characters, nice. Me too, although I think I lean a bit more towards sci-fi a lot of the time. Anime style. Now, people often say that my style is anime style, but I really don't think it is. I just can't pinpoint down that proper, anime look. Don't worry. Just add it on to the next message. That's fine. So those of you just joining us, the purpose of this live stream, unlike our last one, which was sort of targeting a very specific avenue, which was character design and the process within that. This one's just more of a sort of chill out session, just to cool down after a pretty hectic and chaotic week, the world round. Okay, so we're just chilling out here and we're just drawing together. So if you haven't already, just grab a sketchbook or a piece of paper, or even on the back of your newspaper, or in the textbook that you might be revising or working from. Just draw. So Sonnet, can you not ask for grades? That is not how things work. So basic 3D cubes and triangles. Let's see if we can incorporate that into some of the stuff here, because I just find it so random that that's one of the main things that you draw. Sort of cool in its randomness, but really random. So you don't think it's either? You don't think it's anime and you don't really think it's anything else? Oh, thanks. That is, when it comes down to it, the aim that I'm going for, Weeboo, I am going for that, for the anime look. Not the anime look, what am I talking about? I am going for the comical look, but not the traditional comics. I did want to make it so that my style and my comics would be distinct. And that's one of the good things about comics in Britain, just as a general thing, and I guess in Europe as well. And it's starting to become a thing in America, where you're really not going for a specific style. Everybody has their own sort of comic style that works out for them, which I think is cool. I like the fact that I can go around Comic-Con and just find everyone doing something completely different to each other. I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be a woman when I first started. Don't know what's happened. Hi there, Hater XYZ. It's good to see you again. Have I ever drawn a full what? A full person? A full comic? A full illustration? One meter poster of some sort. It depends what you mean. It depends what you mean. I mean, back when I was in school and then in university afterwards, I used to make huge pieces, ones that were bigger than a meter, way bigger than a meter in some cases. So that was like between the age of 16 and 21, right? My pieces were massive. Recently, because most of my stuff has moved digital, I pretty much only do traditional work in my sketchbook or on those slightly bigger than A4 watercolor sheets, because I sometimes work in watercolor. So I don't do much like traditional work on large pieces anymore. I do sometimes get them printed on large pieces though. Depends. You know what, Sam? That is sometimes just all you need with certain things. Just being able to watch them. I guess it's why we like sport so much and watching sport. Yeah, we know we could do it. Not necessarily very well, all of us. We could do it, but sometimes it's just a lot more fun watching it being done. Oh, you just got your sketchbook. So are you looking through it if you're not drawing at the moment? Well, let me know when you do start drawing. It'll be cool to hear what you're up to. This head looks a little bit small. Need some more mass on top. Just stand up. Yeah, that head is definitely too short. There we go. Charcoal and graphite sticks. Ugh. I took my charcoal into work so some of my students could use it, and I did not bring it back, and I sort of miss it. It's been a while since I used it. When you say graphite sticks, are you talking about those huge blocks? Where it's sort of like a pencil but massive and purely made out of graphite. Is that what you're talking about, Weepy? Ah, cool. Smaller version. Sam, when was the last time you played football? And which football are we talking about? American football or what Americans call soccer? Kind of that. My viewers are from all over the world, so which one are you talking about? All right. So the football that we play here in England, soccer, as Americans call it. Super Bowl. The only thing I know about Super Bowl is that loads of trailers tend to get released then. Ruby Creations. What is Art Prof and Clara Stream? So what exactly is that? I haven't come across that in my time. Okay. I'll give it a check out later. I never used to watch YouTube until recently. I tend to only use it really for how-tos and for watching trailers for games or movies. It's only recently, since I started actively posting stuff up on YouTube, that I started actually paying attention to the other stuff on there, the documentaries and just the shorts and stuff like that. And now I get it when my students say, "Oh, I don't watch TV, I just watch YouTube." I actually get it a lot more now. Because before I was like, "Huh? What YouTube is just full of sort of short form stuff that doesn't keep you entertained for that long." But it is, can keep you on there for hours and hours. I've learned. I wonder if there's a way to like check how many hours. So let me just touch down slightly. I wonder if there's a way to check how many hours of YouTube you watch per day, like on average. There's a way to check that. You should put something like that into a website. Sort of like we do with like we have with our phones, where you can check how much screen time you have. I think would be interesting. Although, why would they want to tell us that when it might encourage people to spend less time on the platform, and they of course don't want that. Can't lose out on that ad revenue. Avatar. I actually, seeing as everyone started going on about it again, I actually really want to go back and rewatch it. I'm really looking forward to Netflix's live adaptation, because Avatar for me is storytelling at a very, very high level. Very high level. I did take some influence from it when designing my own comic, Arc Song especially, because Arc Song, a lot of the powers within that are elemental. Took a lot of influence from that and from Final Fantasy as well. Which one do you prefer? The Aang Saga or the Korra series? taking no time with these cornrows at all. Maybe if I shade them, I can give them a bit more definition. Yeah, definitely. It is one of those shows that you understand a lot more of the details when you're older. Definitely. Although at the same time, I do feel like Korra did match the aging of the Office fans. So people who watched Aang originally, the Aang series originally, would have now been, you know, in their late teens, 20s, and maybe early 30s if they'd watched it when they were a little bit older. So it made sense for Korra to aim for a slightly older audience, in my opinion. And people need to recognize that they weren't going for the same feel. They were going for something a bit different, a bit more contemporary, and a bit more subtle, which is why I still have people can hit it and say bad things about it, but I really do think that Korra has its place. Yes, 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 definitely. And I'm sure a lot of animation students have probably studied in quite a lot of detail because the movement for that, the way that they use animation, yeah, to add to the actual subjects, to the actual characters themselves is really good, really really good. Subtleties in storytelling and in character design and stuff like that, so important, so important. And I think that sometimes it's overlooked just how important those things are, or sometimes don't, or sometimes people might even not realize how significant um, how significant some of the drawn elements in a character are. And so when people sort of call things out and say maybe that shouldn't be there because that might cause problems with this with people of a certain group or stuff like that because you're doing this and this and this, and other people sometimes say no, it's just a little thing that they've added in. But character designers, writers, and all that sort of stuff, they know exactly what they're doing. They do. So when you do see people and you're just like, that person actually reminds me of this thing, a lot of the time, trust me, the writer knows that it reminds you of that. The writer knows, or the artist knows, because you wouldn't believe how much designs are done before a final product is created. I mean, if you've ever bought a art of book, so say for example the art of Star Wars, the art of um, Bioshock or whatever, so that just the art of a video game or of a movie or of a series, then you'll realize just how many iterations of anything they go through. Uh, Side profiles are underrated, Sam. They really are underrated. I still don't think I'm actually that good at them. I always have problems with the eye placement. So later on, when I do more lessons, I will do one on drawing the facing profile eventually, and I'll probably do quite a bit of research into the placements of things because I do think I sometimes slip up, especially with the eye. Mm-hmm. How do you normally draw things from the front? VB Creations? Okay, got a bit more space here on the right. Let's try here. I was looking for one of my anatomy and pose books before I started this, and I just couldn't find it. It's actually frustrating me quite a lot because I want to try out some new stuff. I might just do a bit of a Google on my laptop and see if I can find anything. You know, I always say reference is key. At the moment, I'm just drawing straight from my head. Quarter or three-quarter. Yeah, that tends to be standard. Everyone loves quarter or three-quarter. That tends to be my default as well. This is quarter or three-quarter, if anyone was wondering. It can help. When you understand exactly how the 3D form works, shading it becomes so much easier. So much easier. When you shade, do you shade with a 2B pencil? Well, not a 2D pencil, but do you use different pencils in terms of 2B, 5B, and so on, or do you tend to just work with the HB and work like that? I'm obliged to have Lyrica on at least one of my sketch sheets. Lyrica is the main character from Arc Song, my main series, if you were wondering. Easy, one of the funnest characters to draw. Makes it easier to work if you actually enjoy drawing the characters within it. Usually just a HB. Yeah, try mixing it up a bit. HBs are cool, but sometimes you just need something really dark. So say, for example, what have I got here? List on this 2B. All right, so this is what I might sometimes use a 2B for, just in my sketchbook when I'm not trying to use it just for standard tone. But sometimes it's really useful for stuff like this. I'll do it on this one here. So it's sort of emphasizing the outline. If you want to go outline heavy, or even using negative space. So even if you weren't in the mood for doing a full-on shading piece, you can just use it for stuff like that. Make things pop, you know. I know Sam, Lyrica is so cool. I'm so happy with how she's turned out as a character. And as the story progresses, you'll see like way more of her. Loads of people are massive fans of Lyrica at Comic-Con. People always come up and say, "Oh, they love her. They love her design. They love her attitude towards things, where she just gets stuff done and she has fun with it." And Lyrica was actually originally supposed to be a man, but I didn't think the dynamic between her and Feng, who was then a woman, works properly. Because I just didn't think it would be appropriate to have that domineering a captain over such a thing's not passive, but he does the way that he sticks to Lyrica. It just wouldn't work well with if he was a woman and she was a man. It had to be inverted, so I changed it. And Lyrica's design would have been very, very similar. It would have been almost the same, but just a man version. Oh, and in the original version, as a man, there was no shirt, so there was sort of a waistcoat. So the original version of Lyrica, even as a woman, was just wearing a waistcoat, no shirt. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be too awkward to draw because everything's going to have to line up so that she's always covered, and it would be just ridiculous. It just wouldn't be practical. It wouldn't make sense. Feel free to take the advice, but you don't have to take all of it. I'm here just to help you improve. So if something helps you, then I'm glad. If it doesn't, and you've heard it done a better way or know a better way to get it done, then make sure you follow that. We're all different, and our journey as artists will always be different. Much like our journey as people. It's not it's not a one size fits all rule. So Sam, what was the last chapter of Arc Song that you read? Considering that it seems like you are a reader. What was the last chapter you read? Carry on with the outline a bit. You're a reader, but you lean heavily on the pictures. Fair enough. I guess with comments, that's what most people are there for. The artwork. Reboot, I definitely do advise you to check it out. I'm currently working on chapter 7. It would have been finished by now, actually, but Comic-Con got cancelled, so I said, you know what, let's take some time out to just focus on the YouTube channel and reinvigorating that, and I'll leave the comic chapters till some holidays, which is coming up in a couple weeks. Chapter 4. That's the one with the main cast of the, I was going to say good characters, but good is subjective, of the protagonists on the front. So you got Kelpie, Lyrica, and Thing on the front. Quite like that cover. What happens in that? They go to get back the ship. That was a good chapter because it's also the first chapter in which we see the main bad guy, or main antagonist, should I say, of the series, Rhyme. And Rhyme is I find her to be a very good antagonist in relation to Lyrica. I really do think that they're an appropriate match for each other. Writing bad guys is hard because we've seen those sort of, I'm going to flip over. We've seen, in fact, let's go to the complete different sheet. I don't want to just work on the back of that. We've seen the dastardly villains. We grew up with them, the ones who were just bad for the sake of being bad. But these days, I think that a lot of good shows and movies are really exploring what good villains are, and really experimenting with their villains a bit more. So I think Loki was a major example of that, where he became just as popular, if not more popular, than Thor himself initially, because he was an interesting bad guy. Same with Thanos, if you guys are familiar with the MCU. Because when it comes down to it, most people aren't bad just for the sake of being bad, or people don't just do bad things for the sake of it, or just because they want to sit laughing to himself in a spiky chair somewhere. There tends to be a reason behind it, and so when we're given that reason, then all of a sudden the characters become more real and we become more immersed in the story. So I wanted a similar thing for Ryan, and at the moment we don't know her story, but in chapter 6, the last one that came out, which I certainly think is one of my best chapters of the lot. Chapter 3 was probably my favorite initially, but I think chapter 6 now is, and that's where you see why Commander Black, who was the main bad guy up until chapter 4, that's when you realize why he does what he does, and all of a sudden you're wondering, who exactly is the good guy here, and who's the bad guy? Harley Quinn. You know what? I still have not seen the movie, and I haven't seen any of her new series either. All the clips I've seen from it say it's worth taking a look at, and I haven't been able to. So what do you advise I check out? The series, the cartoon series, or the cartoon series, or the movie reboot creations? So it's a movie that you're focusing on, yeah, and you're saying that it's a movie worth checking out. If you weren't familiar, by the way, guys, this is Ryan, the main antagonist from Arc Song. This is pretty much what she looks like. She is Admiral of the Imperial Sky Navy of Eresia. And she's pretty scary. Everyone's scared of her. But even though they're scared of her, the people that are around her, like the people under her, the actual subjects and normal civilians of Eresia, of the Empire, they actually love her. They think that she's amazing. Eresia itself is a very war-loving nation as a whole. They're very big on protecting their borders and expanding. So there's, I am from England, so yeah, there is a lot of drawing on history for some of this sort of stuff. Although one of the themes that we look at within Arc Song is that theme of sort of war weariness beginning to set in. People starting to get sick of the wars, which was actually something that, of course, living in England, we experienced right throughout the sort of early 2000s. People sort of getting sick of war a bit. So I wanted to bring that in. You know, you got to bring yourself into your work. It makes it a lot more interesting. Let's take that across that side. One thing that people comment on a lot, especially with my drawings of females, is that they're very sort of muscular. I'm sorry, and I did say this in the last live stream, but if you're gonna have someone going around doing all these feats, they gotta have the muscle to put behind it. So so if you're gonna be doing stuff like an MMA fighter would be doing, you should look like an MMA fighter, simply put. Even if some of your stuff does come from superpowers, essentially, if we put it simply, you still gotta have some of the build to back that up. That muscle looks a bit too short. Sort of there. That makes more sense. There we go. And she has a scar on one of her arms. I can never remember. See, there's this thing that I should be doing, but I'm not doing. And it's for practical reasons, which I'll explain in a minute. But when you are working on a comic or something where you are using the same characters over and over and over again, you should really have a wall or a mood board or something of that equivalent where you have all your characters and that orthographics, so that designs all out, so that you can always reference it while you're working. So normally, if you look in game studios, you'll see those all over the walls. Unfortunately, I don't like sticking stuff on my walls because especially with blue tack, it will leave a mark. And I don't want to leave loads of dots all over my walls. So I don't actually have any. So I have to constantly be going back and flicking through old chapters to look at the design. So I'm not actually sure which side her scar is on her arm. But it's on one of them. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. I am going to try and keep doing this. Maybe not every Friday, but when I can. And it will typically be on a Friday in the afternoon. We, of course, also have all the other stuff that I put up. Stuff related to games, to school, to passing exams, to having a career in the arts, and just general art lessons. And the aim is not to just look at these things arbitrarily, but to look at them with a view to art and storytelling, because that's what I'm all about. The arts and the ability to tell stories. That's what interests me. And that's sort of what I know about. If you have any friends that you think will be interested in this sort of stuff, invite them, tell them about us. Maybe even invite them now, just shoot them a quick message. There we go. Who else should we draw? Let's make up another character. This makes one hold a bit of a wider face, I think, this time. Let's move it across just a little bit more. Not too happy with that. To there, I think I should do it. You can go there. It can go there. I think that makes sense. Excellent. Man or woman, man or woman, man or woman. Let's see where it takes us. Is anybody who's with us and watching, are any of you drawing yet? Okay, so I'm gonna have this character just looking up slightly, which means I might need to rub out some bits of the head just to emphasize that tilt back. Still not quite decided what gender this person's going to be. Maybe they don't need one. I'll just leave it vague enough to you to decide. I feel like we're a bit off center here. Let's just correct that. It is very common. Have you started drawing? Are you drawing? Or are you just going to sit back and enjoy? Let me raise this a little bit. Here. Have you ever seen that culture? I can't remember what country they're from, but where their hair goes into these almost disc shapes. Sometimes they even have more than one of these shapes in their hair. It's pretty cool. Thank you, Sam. Hopefully you're able to relax on this Friday evening. Like I said, it's been a tough week. We've been bombarded with a lot of unpleasant imagery. So here's a chance for you to just chill out. There's a few Instagram pages and Facebook pages that I follow where you have photographers who they go around the world and they take photographs of different cultures. And it's honestly so good for inspiration. You know, I always go on about visual libraries. Yeah. I mean, I can't go to the museum at the moment. I can't go to the art galleries at the moment. So, you know, pages like that, I just love them because honestly, some of the stuff that people wear around the world is just really amazing. Some of the way they style their hair, some of the body modifications that they do, the colors that they wear, the combinations, the patterns. It's just super cool. Let's go for something a little bit thicker. Okay. So this is all from my head at the moment. Normally I'd be researching while doing this sort of thing, especially if it's a themed location I'm designing a character for. So say for example, in Arksong, once again, in Arksong, we've got the continent of Uranel, which is east of Eresia. Hello, Vikram. Quite an entrance you made there. But yeah, as I was saying, we've got Uranel, which is east of Eresia, and there it takes a lot of its imagery from different African cultures. So whenever I'm designing a character from there, or whenever I'm designing a hairstyle on the character there, or creating the culture for a place there, I look at various places there and see what cool stuff I can sort of take from it. So say, for example, there is a place called Bogadendra there, and they take some aspects from the Himba tribe in Kenya. And the Himba, you might be familiar with them. They have red skin. They have red clay, which they rub on their skin, and it makes their skin look really red. And their hair can grow really, really long because they do this thing called imbuvi. And so one of the war chiefs, which you'll see in the next chapter of Arksong, if you're a reader, she has that. And it's just subtle stuff like that, which I like to put in. Just why I say museums, art galleries, really, really good for this sort of stuff. And what I can't understand when people say they don't enjoy going to them. The amount of schools that I've been to where I've said, oh, we're going to a gallery, and all the kids moan, or we're going to a museum and all the kids moan. And then once we get there and we've done the whole day, afterwards they're just like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty cool. It's like, of course. Just because you're learning doesn't mean that that's a bad thing, or that it's going to be boring, or that it's not going to be interesting or fun. And we need to try and have the same thing as adults as well. So, Vikram, after your massive entrance, are you going to be drawing with us today? Have you got a sketch pad which you're going to pull out and start whipping out some drawings? A cool teacher? Me? Only on Wednesdays and Thursdays. The rest of the days I'm horrible. So you were in central London. What's happening down in central London? Is it quiet because of everyone hiding? Well, not hiding, but well, yeah, we are essentially hiding ourselves away to keep ourselves and others safe. Is it quiet down there? People are still walking around. You say walking around, do you mean walking around doing stuff or walking around in terms of what we've been seeing in the news recently? I'm not sure if you realise, but I'm fusing a bit of European and African styles together. Yeah, for this piece. I think we'll leave it like that. Don't need to go too heavy on this. That's a cool design. Let's try something on the right here. I'm feeling for a hat. Thank you, Coxty. And living in red, I am just drawing characters, drawing what I feel like, and encouraging you to do the same, you know, because it is a bit of a rough time that we're in right now. So why not do something that we enjoy and just relax? This one, Vikram, you like? This one, I was just explaining before you came that it's the main antagonist from Ark Song, Rhyme Kraken's Gold. Good to see you, Redon. Hopefully you're doing well. Why not grab a pencil and some paper and draw with us? Thank you. Is she worse than what other tyrannical maniac, Vikram? Wait, did you say I'm drawing my left hand, Vikram? I thought someone said that it wasn't mirrored. I thought you guys said I was drawing my right hand. I'm right-handed, guys. The image must be reflected. Oh my gosh. Ah, okay. Should I flip this then? Let me flip it. All right, that make a bit more sense. the thing is, on the program that I'm using on my phone, which records it, it's got it the right way around, the way that I'm seeing it. But on YouTube, it has it reflected, which is really weird. So I'm never sure which one's correct. So is it the right way around now? Am I using my right hand? Oh my gosh. By the way, when you draw, one thing they always say is to mirror your images all the time. The reason being that you spot the errors with it when you mirror them. So I'm gonna show you the first page that I did and then this page, because you probably saw them looking not necessarily as good because of the fact that they were mirrored. Because of course, you can't flip things in real life. But yeah, that was the first page, and now we're just working on this. Thanks for letting me know. Who was that? Let me know. Vikram and living it in red. Well, red on. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. An hour in, and then I realized that was reflected. Shameful. All right, let's keep going with this design. Okay, we're having some form problems here, where it's actually getting hard to read because of untidy line work. So let me see if I can just neaten this up a bit. There we go. Maybe that's a bit easier to understand now. Let's bring this up here. I don't want this to be, it might look like hair, but I don't want it to be hair. The hair will be braids underneath, which hopefully will be a bit clearer in a bit. Okay, let's try and keep that ear looking like an ear. I'm gonna put some beads on the bottom of this as well. There we go. Let's get some more of those in. Beads. And that's that. A needed eraser, a needed rubber. I do not have one at the moment, actually. I've been meaning to get one because when it comes to precision work, you want a needed eraser so you can rub out tiny little bits. I did actually learn the other day how to create one using a normal rubber, and I might actually make a video on it because I think that is something that students will find very, very useful. Rather than going out of their way to go and buy a needed eraser, you can make one out of a normal eraser, and it's very, very simple actually. So watch out for that. All it involves is using, these little bits that rub off of the rubber. So when you rub these bits, you use those and you can turn them back into a rubber, simply put. Way easier than I thought. Are you using a kneaded eraser? You could say that's a standard part of your equipment. Oh, I just have a normal one. The new Attack on Titan trailer is so good. It is. I actually read the manga, so I have a very good idea of everything going on in that trailer. I'm not going to spoil it for you, don't worry. But I will say that this chapter is going to be pretty crazy. Hopefully they add in a bit extra as well. There are sections where there's just piles and piles of talking and not much happening, because this bit does get a little bit political. Well, the whole thing's very, very, very political. But this bit, it does have a lot of this person has an embassy with this person's trading this with this. So yeah, hopefully they do make it a little bit more interesting in those parts and a bit more lively. What? Don't worry, I'm not one of the ones that ruin things for people, unless they ask. What does interest me about this whole Attack on Titan thing is that if the anime is finished, that means that they knew the story from ages ago. They knew how it was going to end, and they might even have the finished chapters themselves already, which is unusual because we've seen lots of times where there's been discrepancies between the anime and the manga because the manga wasn't finished yet when the anime had been made. So it doesn't look like we're going to have that problem this time, which is pretty cool. What else are you guys watching? Quarantine, it's been all right. It gets hard sometimes, it does. Because I am, when it comes down to a teacher, it is part of how I identify myself, and I haven't been able to teach in the same capacity that I normally can. And not being able to do the one thing that you sort of trained for, well, the main thing that you've trained for, the one that you've like dedicated a huge section of your life to, it is a bit frustrating. Some days it is a bit upsetting that I can't be there with my students. But yeah, otherwise it's fine. It's fine. How about for you? Jujutsu Kaisen, never heard of it. Is there English translation for that name? Maybe I might have heard of that. No, actually, let's not do it up there. Actually, yeah, let's do it up there. There's some scales in here. Yeah. I have an idea of what you mean by frustrating, but I can't fully understand it because your situation will probably be different. It will no doubt be different from mine. The fact that you're a student instead of a teacher makes it completely different as well. So, yeah, I do sympathize with you about the frustration. Boring. I must say, I haven't been that bored, although sometimes I would have liked to have gone out and done stuff or met with friends and stuff. I haven't been that bored, possibly because I'm home with so many members of my family and because I've also had so much work to do or made myself work to do. But I can see how some of you would be boring for you, especially if you're not an adult or not an adult receiving a paycheck which you can do stuff with. Because even from home, I can sort of still buy buy stuff. Like I can buy games or buy Disney Plus and stuff like that. Whereas not everyone can necessarily do that. Yeah, please, Vikram, do send to me on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. I'll check it out later. So you used to be good at art, but not anymore. Or do you mean that you just stopped improving? So you sort of stagnated because you didn't enjoy it as much anymore? I understand, Sir Sonic. I do understand. I actually tried reading again because I haven't read in a while. Not for joy anyway. Normally some academic stuff or religious stuff. So yeah, which sort of can be for joy sometimes, but yeah, not purely for reading for the enjoyment for it. And I did try that. Lasted for about a week. I got halfway through the book, and I'm itching to get back into the book, but I just can't bring myself to. Painting, I never used to like painting. It grows on you. The better you get at it, and the more used you get to with the more used you get to using the materials the materials, then the painting does grow on you. It's one of those things. It's like vegetables. At first you don't really like them, but then after eating them for a couple of years, you're just like, you know what, this is actually pretty good. Favorite books. Love sci-fi books. Fantasy I used to like, not that much anymore. I'm more about the sci-fi books. Have I read any, Have I read anything really amazing recently? Me, not really, to be honest. Not really. The most interesting thing that I've read recently, non-religious that is, would be probably more of my sort of teaching related stuff. People don't think that, and even some teachers don't think that teaching is academic. They think it's a very practical, you're there in the classroom sort of thing, and that does make up a large part of it. But it is so academic. Honestly, it's it's all about using lots of research, working with data and stuff like that. And when you understand how things work and why things are the way they are, then it is interesting. So I do enjoy learning about teaching. All right, let's see if I can squish someone right here. Actually, no, I just like this trio. I think it looks good. All right, I'll leave it like that. I'll go into another one. What's the time? Yeah, I'll go to 2 hours. I know some people will probably end up joining late, like quite a few of you guys did. Do I know when school will open? I do not. I do not know the exact dates of anything around that. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't even be able to say until until the students know. If I did know beforehand, I would probably have to wait until it was officially announced by my school. But what we do know, and which you might know if you've seen my other videos, is that primary schools are of course opened for reception, year 1 and year 6. And secondary schools from the 15th can start reopening for year 10 and year 12. But the schools do not have to reopen, or they don't have to reopen on that date. They can wait a little bit longer. I have Sonic. I have. And to be honest, that is part of the theme of today's live stream. What's going on at the moment in the world with the protests and the whole George Floyd thing. Part of this was to sort of escape that. Not that I mind you bring it up, but I have seen it. I have seen it, and I think we all have a part to play in trying to make the world a bit better. Well, as good as we possibly can within our small communities and within our social reach. All right. Tell your mom hello from me as well, Vikram. What's your response to all this, guys? I'm not trying to get in too much into the whole thing, but what's your response? Okay, let's take these one by one. So, Sazonic, it depends on what we're being shown, because from what I understand and from what I've read and seen, it does appear that we are being bombarded with the imagery of looters, but we're not seeing the peaceful side, which do apparently make up the majority. So it depends on what we're being shown as well. So unless we're there on the floor, I'm not sure if we can necessarily talk about what most are there for, unfortunately. Levy is. They don't necessarily contradict. In some situations, like at Windrush Square in Brixton, people made sure that they were fully spaced out when they did their kneeling. So it can work. But yeah, in a lot of cases, it has gone completely out the window. Well, Sonic, many would say that it's not for no reason, but I'm not going to go into that at the moment. But yeah, some businesses are getting destroyed. Now, guys, be nice to each other in the comments, please. Okay. But like I said, I think we will just need to chill out a bit and not completely fill our lives with negative visuals and negative information. We need to have spaces and times where we just sort of chill out and do something that's good for our mental health and feed our brains with something that's not gonna make us upset, angry, annoyed, or frustrated. My camera is at a weird angle. That looks a bit straighter. We'll go with that. Levi is. Some of them are characters from my comic, and some are just general drawings. Like this one's just a general drawing, me just messing about and designing some new characters. Whether they'll pop up later on, who knows? And Sonic, that is that can sometimes be a risky way to live life if you only work on based on what you see. Okay, perspective can sometimes help looking at things from different perspectives or getting the whole picture. So going in and doing a lot of research. Okay, and this is part of the reason why I really like doing the research with art and stuff like that, because sometimes you'll do stuff and you'll be like, oh yeah, this is typical of this culture, or this is typical of people living these sorts of things, without actually realizing why they've done it. And then you find out later on, oh, this person wouldn't be doing this here. I often give the example of and if there is anyone here from who I've taught, you might have heard this already. I often give the example of the what's it called? That famous piece by, is it Michael da Vinci? The one with where it's got Jesus on a table with all his apostles. The Last Supper, I think it's called. Very, very famous piece. You guys will know it if you see it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, in that you can see that he's clearly that's sitting at a table in a very, very large room. But then when you go and look at the actual facts about how people lived in that time period, how they ate, what buildings were like, you're just like, wait a minute, this isn't correct at all. This isn't correct at all. That he's basically, what the artist did was he looked at how people live in his time period and at what the history in his region of the world was, which was Italy, I believe. And he basically just drew the painting in that style. And some things were fairly correct, like the clothing wasn't too inaccurate, but lots of it was. So it's all about getting the information about stuff and getting informed before we go ahead with a lot of stuff that we do, if that makes sense. And that applies not just in art, but in loads of other stuff. It's why we have a lot of the issues that we do have in the world, because people rush to do stuff without researching stuff. It's sort of like to give another example from America, because America likes to be in the news, or in our news over here anyway. They like to mention it a lot. Flint, Michigan, where they have the issue with the water. Whoever okayed the pipeline running the way it did, or doing whatever they did with the water, didn't look at all the facts enough, or didn't get the proper information that they needed to make a proper informed decision. So, or they didn't listen to it, one or two. So in the end, it ended up backfiring and damaging the community. So it's just one of those things where we need to use information correctly, and it's our responsibility as people and within our individual jobs and circles. So that includes art, that includes teaching, that includes being a doctor, being a nurse, being a shop assistant. All those things require us to understand and inform ourselves on certain stuff that pertain to or are connected with the task that we have at hand. That makes sense? I feel like for how dark I make the hair, I need to darken the skin slightly. Oh, I wonder how much battery I've got left on my phone. It will die. You seem alright for the time being? Do I like pencil drawing more than digital? Yes, I do. The immediacy, being able to just put the mark down and it's right there, and you feel it. You feel the carbon into the paper. You feel the pencil lead breaking off. It's, to me, there's nothing that matches it. Nothing that matches that pencil touching paper or that charcoal touching the paper. It really is much better than digital, in my opinion. But digital, the outcomes are just, they look complete. That it looks better in the end because of the amount of things that you can do with it, the versatility. If you are looking for a future in the arts, definitely, and you're interested in the more illustration and game sort of side, like concept art or movies or anything like that, definitely invest in a tablet. You won't regret it. What's your main medium of choice, Sonic? Unreal Engine 5. Oh. I actually did a video about it. You can check that on my channel because it's impressive, simply put. And the stuff that it's going to mean for the future, especially for artists, should be interesting because we now are going to have to, if you're designing for games, I don't anymore, so I shouldn't really say we, but artists are going to have to make sure that stuff is really grounded in reality, their textures and all that sort of stuff, because I mean, you saw how detailed the rocks were. You saw how the light reacted, how much polygons they can fit on one screen. It's mad in one scene. Yes, it will be on the PS5. Of course, the only place that will probably properly see it being utilized to the fullest is a PC, because PCs will be able to be upgraded way beyond what a PS5 or Xbox will be able to. Do you even know how much stars there are in our galaxy? But potentially, who knows? Yeah, the jump is amazing. And you know what the really cool thing is, and this is both for the PS5 and for Unreal Engine 5, is that with Unreal Engine 5, you can take the stuff from Unreal Engine 4 and port it directly in, which will hopefully mean that games which played on older consoles, especially for the Xbox, might be easier to port across to their new ones. With the PlayStation 5 just in general, it's what's good about the PlayStation 5 is that it's got backwards compatibility. So all the games from PS4, I'm not sure about PS3 though, but the games from PS4 can all be played on the PS5. I remember watching that technical live stream thing that they did, which most people got annoyed at because it was too technical and didn't show any actual gameplay or anything. But if people actually paid attention to what they were saying, it was big stuff. The way that system works, it will hopefully mean that it's very easy for companies to make games, or for games to be ported across that we didn't get to play when they came out on older consoles. And so that can only be a good thing. 7 years for what? Is it 7 years that's going to take to be completed? Seven years, or 7 years for Unreal Engine 5 to be released? because if that's the case, that will be a bit of a shame. But by that time, it means that it took 7 years for PS5. That's standard. That's standard game life cycle, console life cycle. So if you look at the difference, the gap between the PS1 and the PS2, the PS2, the PS3, PS3, PS4, it is about 7 years. It is about 7 years. They like to try and keep it consistent, which also is good for us because it means that we don't end up spending too much money continuously buying consoles. Because after all, that's what gamers, you want to constantly play at a high level. That's what they have to do. They have to constantly upgrade. It also means that by the time that you reach the 5th, 6th, and 7th year, the game developers are so good at using the engines and making things work with the console that your games will be very, very high quality. So even though at first you might be like, oh, why does it take so long for the next console to come out? It's not such a bad thing. We've got a PC gamer here to mock us console peasants. So Sonic, the moment that PlayStation 4 and Xbox is released, the moment it comes out, it's outdated. Because that's how fast technology moves. I always pictured myself getting both consoles as I got older and started working. Like I was convinced that I was going to be a PC gamer, Xbox gamer, and a PlayStation gamer, and Nintendo gamer too. And it just didn't happen. I just stuck with the PS4 and did a little bit of PC gaming. Hey to XYZ, did you say something about anime? Don't worry, I don't mind who you are, guys. Just as long as you're here to chill out. Okay, can you stop typing that, please? My favorite anime. Oh, ooh. It's a tough one. I really enjoyed Gurren Lagann. Like, yeah, I thought that was really good. Samurai Champloo is also really good. But to be honest, Naruto is the one that properly got me into anime. I can't really say that it has to be my favorite because it's the one that got me into it. It's the one that really said, oh, so this is what can be done with animation. This is a sort of story that can be told. This is what can be done with power levels and stuff. I mean, I was watching Dragon Ball Z before that, but one, I didn't know that it was anime. Two, I was watching it in English, whereas Naruto, I switched over to Japanese pretty quickly, over to sub pretty quickly. And also Dragon Ball Z, I don't think Dragon Ball Z fully embodies what anime is about, or has been about for quite a while. Oh my gosh, my drawing's going terrible. Look how wonky this head is. Where are you guys distracting me? Although this is just a free draw session, so we weren't aiming for anything amazing. Ums10, you've come and slightly disrupted the piece. Please try and chill out. Hater XYZ, what is your favorite anime? You asked the question. Let's hear what it's for you guys. And this is a question to the rest of you as well. What's your favorite anime? Tell me. If you're into anime, that is. Got a Naruto fan here. Yeah. No problem, BB. Good to see you. I'll be on for another 20 minutes. So what Studio Ghibli? Yeah. I've been rewatching a few of them recently. So I think the last one I saw was Howl's Moving Castle, which I think is probably my favorite out of the ones that I've seen from him. Wind Rises was also very good. They do, and their level of animation is very good. Um, the way they do food, it's to be honest, the way that anime does food, full stop, is is I've never seen anything quite like it. I can literally sit and watch those compilations of people making food in anime for hours. It is. It is. It's a shame that they're so underpaid. Such creative and skilled people, but so underpaid. Fairy Tale. I've heard both good and bad things about Fairy Tale. I actually wanted to go to Japan this year. I was planning to originally, and then we got hit with this entire COVID situation, which is a shame. Understandable, Weeby. Is it because of schoolwork or just because you haven't seen anything that catches your eye? Have I seen the Jaden Smith anime? I saw the trailer for it. The something about the voice acting just made me go, no, this is not something that I want to watch and cringe over. Weeby, yeah. I didn't think it would happen, but it happened to me. You just sort of grow out of it. After a while, a lot of stories seem, or this is my experience anyway, a lot of stories started to seem very, very similar. And I literally felt like I was watching the same thing over and over again. So I just stopped watching it much. I started to get a little bit back into it since we went to lockdown, but still, I'll never get back to how I was before, where every day I would have like 2 or 3 new releases to watch. I don't think I'll ever sort of get back to that. A fully CGI movie from Studio Ghibli? Oh dear. Spirited Away. I saw it a while back when I was younger. I can understand why people love it, and it was my favorite before I watched Howl's Moving Castle. Friendship, the power of friendship, guys. The power of friendship. If only that's what paid the bills and passed your exams in real life. As a side note, I heard that they are making a Naruto live action movie. I'm not sure when they'll actually probably start production, but yeah, apparently it's actually a thing. Could actually happen. Do I think it's needed? No. Will I still want to check it out? Yes. Ooh, I didn't know that about Minecraft. You know what? I've never actually played or used Minecraft. It it depends, Vikram. It depends whether it will be cringe or not. If they try to make it too much like the anime, including the things that are said, the way things are said, and the way people act, then it's always going to be off because people do not act like anime characters. Anime and cartoon characters are anime and cartoon characters. They don't act like normal people. They don't move like normal people. They don't speak like normal people. So as long as they try to properly make it into something realistic, just like was done with Alita Battle Angel, then I think that they're in with a shot of making something that might be enjoyable. I'll think about it, Sizonic. I know that my niece plays it, so maybe I'll watch her play it and see if I can have a go myself. Triangles everywhere. Pushing our last 15 minutes, guys. And then I might pop out and see if McDonald's has a mile-long queue or not. Probably shouldn't be eating junk, but what can I say? It's Friday. What can I do about this dude's head? Ugh. The game gets addicting. Ugh. I hate addictive games. Just eat my time up. Those ones where you're just like, I'll play for 15 more minutes and I gotta go do this work or I gotta go sleep. And then next thing you know, 4 hours have passed. Let's put a helmet on him. Okay, like that. Animal Crossing. I don't think I'm going to touch out Animal Crossing. I've seen it take over the world of social media. So I could tell it's going to be an addicting game. So I think my favorite show apart from anime is Avatar: The Last Airbender, and for movies, Color of Friendship. Never heard of The Color of Friendship. Might check that out. Avatar: The Last Airbender is brilliant. See, Coxty, this is exactly where I don't want to. It will just finish my life. No work getting done, no drawings, no videos, no students getting taught. Just game. The helmet's too big. I feel like I can't win with this piece. All right, let's bulk him up. Let's make him massive. All right, here we go. I hear Sims is piles of fun. Back when I was younger, and even now, to be honest, with a lot of the people that I meet, a lot of women that I talk to, it tends to be that the Sims that a lot of girls grew up playing. Who are now women, that are like sort of 25 to 35s or older. So it does seem to have had an important cultural impact and seem to actually be the thing that brought a lot of people, especially girls, into gaming, The Sims. Oh, Weeby, you gotta have to take some time out to rest and chill. Remember, work's important, but sometimes you gotta rest yourself. But don't take that as an excuse to slack off. Yeah. Yes, Sonic. I'm not surprised that's how you feel. I just hope that it all turns out good for you when the results come out in August. You know. A Disney movie. I'll see if it. Do you know if it's on Disney Plus? Might give it a check out. So something that's because you're done. You're actually like done. So what I advise is that you start looking into stuff that you're going to be studying next year. Assume that you got the choices that you want and just start looking at that stuff already. That's the only advice I can give you. And use this time to rest as well, if you can, because sixth form and college are no joke. if you thought GCSEs were hard, trust me, sixth form is no joke. And if you think sixth form's hard, uni's no joke either. This has turned to complete and utter nonsense. I'm unhappy with this sheet. So unhappy with that sheet. Okay, last one. Last 10 minutes. Let's see what we get. We'll do another straight on one. I enjoy those ones the most. So we'll go straight on. This really is at a weird angle. Let me see if I can tilt it slightly. Like that. I think it's a little bit straighter. Yeah. And that way? Yes. There we go. When Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards were a thing, Yu-Gi-Oh cards were still a thing. Well, to be honest, both were still a thing up until they still are, even right now. I mean, Pokemon people just collected those for collecting them, but Yu-Gi-Oh cards people actually played. If you go to Comic Con, there's an entire section dedicated to trading card games, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and all those. So trust me, it's still a thing. There's still a very strong community, which are still which are all ages. So you'll still find 10-year-olds playing it, and you'll still find 40-year-olds playing it. So it's still very much a thing. Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I always liked them because I just like the artwork on them, to be honest. And everyone wanted that Blue Eyes White Dragon. My arm's actually starting to ache. This hasn't happened in a while. I feel like I'm a student again. Is anyone in the chat multilingual? I'm not. You get the hand aches too. I don't think this counts as a full-on cramp. It's just sort of like from being resting on the desk for so long. Nope. No multilingual people in here, it would seem. Well, none of them speak. Okay, so into our last 5 minutes. Let me try and get a body on this person. Weebu, you do that. Trust me. No, everybody loves a nice fleshed out world with lots of variety and lots of really carefully thought out stuff in it. Loads of people like seeing stuff that I've never seen before, combinations I've never seen before. The space rocket, I did watch it. It was pretty cool. But right now, to be honest, what I'm sort of interested in is seeing how they're going to clear up all the space junk out in orbit that's currently swirling around the Earth. Spanish and Japanese. Very useful languages to learn. Spanish is spoken in a lot of places by a lot of people. One of my spoken languages in the world. And Japanese is just a cool language to learn anyway, because especially as anime fans. Yes, it's like someone told me the other day that apparently just a small fleck of paint that's just a few millimeters long can be like a bullet in space because stuff moves so fast up there. 6 months of concerted work Weeby Creations with languages can be quite a lot, but the real proving ground is when you actually start talking to the people. That's what I found with French. Once I reached a point where eventually I was just like, I need to, if I'm not talking to people, then I'm not going to improve. And because I was unwilling to either go to France or speak French with the people that I knew that could speak it, because I was too embarrassed or scared of embarrassing myself, I never improved. And now look at me, only able to speak one language. Okay, this last piece is not turning out as epic as I thought it would be. Let's put some armor in, just to make it something cool. Send people to Mars in 2022. I'm not sure what we have to gain from Mars. Personally, I'd be focusing more on the moon if I was him. And I'm setting up things there, but all right. It's his money, his company. Let him do what he wants. Weeby, you sound like a very skilled linguist. The world's literally going to be your oyster when you once you master those languages. Terraforming is no easy task, Sonic. It's no easy task at all. They make it seem easy in the movies, but the stuff that terraforming consists of, especially in a place where it's as cold as it is in Mars, because don't forget how far Mars is from the sun in comparison to us. You know that if we were just a few kilometers out, the Earth would be uninhabitable, right? So, you know, terraforming Mars is not an easy task. That's the key Weeby Creations. We just keep learning. I think Sam J might be gone by now, but I know she's been here before. So if I do see him, I'll tell him that Weeby Creations told him thank you. Looks like we've reached our 2-hour mark, guys. I'm just going to put the last few pieces of, last few design elements on this, and then I'm going to finish up. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Honestly, in this time, which is a bit rough, you know, it's been nice just speaking about things I enjoy and doing something I enjoy with nice, friendly people, you know. Like I said, I will be doing a few more of these. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please subscribe. I upload videos every 2 or 3 days, sometimes one every day a week. It just depends on how I'm feeling and how productive I am that week. So, you know, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and thanks again for coming. That's all for now. Until next time. Thank you, everyone. See you. Oh, Sam is still here. There you go. I'm sure she appreciates your thanks. how does the pandemic end? Okay, I'll check that out. Nothing like a good TED talk. Fair enough. Fair enough, Sam. Just before I go, I'm just going to show you what we completed this time round. So, of course, we have that, our last sheet. And then we have this, the sheet before, which didn't work out so well. And then we have our first sheet, this one. And then our second sheet, which is actually my favorite, which I think is the most successful, which is this one. So once again, thank you, everyone. And I will see you soon. Bye.